Welcome to the Compact Disasters podcast from compactdisasters.com, the show where we explore natural and man-made disasters from around the world. This is episode 43, the 2020 Beirut Explosion. On the 4th of August 2020, Beirut, the capital of Lebanon, was rocked by one of the most powerful non-nuclear explosions in modern history. What began as an ordinary summer afternoon ended in devastation. At 6:08 p.m. local time, a massive blast ripped through the port of Beirut, sending shockwaves across the city, shattering windows for miles, and leaving behind a trail of destruction that would scar the city both physically and emotionally. The explosion killed over 200 people, injured more than 6,000, and left approximately 300,000 people temporarily homeless. The force of the blast was so great that it registered as a 3.3 magnitude earthquake. Entire city blocks were flattened, cars were tossed like toys, glass covered the streets, and buildings that had stood for generations crumbled in seconds. Hospitals, already under pressure due to the COVID-19 pandemic, were overwhelmed. Some were so severely damaged that they had to treat patients in the open air. At the center of this catastrophe was a silent killer that had been sitting, largely forgotten, for years. In 2013, a ship called the MV Rosus docked in Beirut. It had been en route to Mozambique and was carrying more than 2,700 tons of ammonium nitrate, a chemical commonly used in fertilizers and explosives. After technical issues left the ship stranded and deemed unseaworthy, the cargo was offloaded and stored in a warehouse at the port. For the next 7 years, the ammonium nitrate remained in Warehouse 12, poorly stored, with inadequate safety measures and little official oversight. It wasn't that no one knew the danger. Lebanese customs officials, port authorities, and members of the judiciary were all reportedly aware of the material's presence. Letters had been sent, warnings had been issued. Reports had circulated highlighting the risk of storing such a vast quantity of explosive chemicals in the middle of a densely populated city. But nothing was done. The ammonium nitrate remained where it was, a ticking time bomb hiding in plain sight. On that fateful August day, a fire broke out at the port. Witnesses initially saw smoke rising from the area, with some reporting the sound of small explosions, which turned out to be fireworks that had been stored alongside the ammonium nitrate, which, approximately 33 seconds later, detonated in a blinding flash, unleashing a pressure wave that obliterated nearby buildings and sent a towering cloud of smoke and debris into the air. Within minutes, videos began to circulate online. Mobile phone footage showed people filming the fire and the initial small blasts, followed by a deafening explosion that knocked the camera operators off their feet. The sound, the shockwave, and the scale of the destruction shocked the world. The blast left a crater more than 140 meters wide at the port. Nearby neighborhoods were reduced to rubble. The iconic Sursok Palace, a symbol of Beirut's cultural heritage, was heavily damaged. Schools, churches, museums, homes, and businesses were all affected. The city's heart had been torn open. The blast was felt as far away as northern Israel and Cyprus. Public fury was immediate and intense. The explosion was not viewed as a tragic accident, but rather as the result of years of negligence and government dysfunction. Lebanon had already been reeling from economic collapse, political paralysis, and the pandemic's effects. The blast became a symbol of everything that had gone wrong. Within days, protests erupted across the capital. Demonstrators stormed government buildings, clashed with police, and demanded accountability. Many carried signs blaming officials for the explosion. Some brought mock gallows. Others waved black flags in mourning. The sentiment was clear. The explosion was human-made, not intentionally, but due to incompetence and corruption. Prime Minister Hassan Diab and his cabinet resigned 6 days later. He blamed endemic corruption for the disaster, but for many Lebanese citizens, it was too little, too late. The political establishment, long accused of self-interest and mismanagement, had once again failed its people. In the weeks that followed, Lebanon received international assistance. Countries sent rescue teams, medical supplies, and financial aid. French President Emmanuel Macron visited Beirut just days after the blast, walking through the wreckage and calling for a credible, independent investigation. The world watched. The people of Lebanon waited. But justice has remained elusive. Lebanese authorities launched an internal investigation, but delays, interference, and accusations of political shielding marred it. Several officials were charged or questioned. Some judges involved in the case were removed. Others faced obstruction. However, to this day, no high-ranking official has been held accountable. Survivors and victims' families have refused to let the memory fade. They continue to hold vigils and protests. They march through the streets with portraits of their loved ones. They demand answers. Their pain is compounded by the silence of those in power and the absence of any clear resolution. The explosion did more than destroy buildings. It shattered what little trust remained between the people of Lebanon and their leaders. In many ways, it laid bare the nation's institutions' fragility. It revealed a country held together not by systems of accountability, but by inertia and informal networks of power. Yet, amid the devastation, Beirut's residents did what they have always done. They picked up the pieces. Volunteers swept streets. Local groups distributed food. Doctors treated patients with dwindling supplies. Ordinary people filled the vacuum left by the state. In the darkest of moments, Beirut's spirit endured. The psychological toll of the blast remains heavy. Many still suffer from trauma. Thousands remain displaced. Buildings stand empty. A sense of collective grief hangs in the air. But there is also a deep sense of determination. People want more than repairs. They want justice. They want change. Beirut has faced war, occupation, economic collapse, and now one of the most devastating explosions in peacetime history. Through it all, its people have endured. However, endurance is not the same as peace, and resilience does not erase the need for accountability. The 2020 Beirut explosion was not simply a tragic event. It was a national reckoning. It was a moment when a city cried out, not only in sorrow, but in fury. And though the answers have not yet come, the demands remain loud and clear. Lebanon may one day heal. Buildings can be rebuilt and glass can be replaced. But the wound at the heart of Beirut, the one caused not by ammonium nitrate, but by years of failed governance, that will take far longer to mend. I hope you enjoyed that episode of the Compact Disasters podcast from compactdisasters.com. If you did, why not leave us a review wherever you get your podcasts? And while you're there, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. If you would like to support us more directly, please consider buying us a coffee. Head on over to compacthistories.com/disaster coffee to see how. Also, please check out our other Compact podcasts. You will find them all at compacthistories.com. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time.